The Michigan Man Podcast, episode 202. It wasn't the way McGarry planned it, but nonetheless, Mitch is leaving Ann Arbor to chase his NBA dreams. And since 1945, only two men have been the radio voice for Michigan football. Add number 3 to the list. Jim Brandstatter, who will be our guest on this week's show. This is the Michigan Man Podcast on GBMW Go Blue Michigan Wolverine for Wolverine fans from coast to coast. Go Blue, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Before we get started with today's show, I have one program reminder. As many of you know, we publish the show each week from August through April. So you guessed it, starting in May, we're on our summer schedule of 2 shows a month. That means our next show will air on May 14th, so please make a note of that on your calendar. That will give us all a chance to enjoy some spring and summer, if it ever gets here in Michigan, and then in August we'll resume weekly programming. Right around the corner on Michigan Gameday, we'll be joined by the new radio play-by-play voice of Michigan football, though he's a familiar one, Jim Brandstatter. First, a few Wolverine news and notes before Jim joins us. Most of us were uncertain whether Mitch McGarry would stay for his junior year or try his luck in the draft. All of us agreed it was really a tough decision. On Friday, we learned Mitch had made the decision, albeit for different reasons than we expected. We all know the story by now and have had time to let it sink in. For me, it's hard to summarize Mitch's career. Hotshot high school recruit, a freshman that struggled to find his game, and then explode in the NCAA tournament last year, making memories for all of us. Then a sophomore who appeared in only 8 games, then underwent season-ending back surgery. Then when the season ended, we all speculated about Mitch's future. Should he stay for his junior season or make the jump to the NBA? You could make an argument for either choice. In the end, it was one lapse in judgment at a party with friends, which helped make the decision clear for Mitch. He stood up, though, before the media on Friday and took full responsibility for his actions. Maybe one day we'll know what Mitch's decision would have been if his lapse of judgment hadn't become the game changer. Mitch is only 21 years old, and we hope he has a bright NBA future ahead of him. He was loved by his teammates. Coach John Beilein said he was a joy to coach, and the beat writers will tell you he was always ready to talk, and he was a great interview. He interacted with the fans before and after games and enjoyed posing for pictures and signing autographs for anyone who wanted one. We all make mistakes in life, and those of us who have a few miles under the hood and were young once can understand just what happened that night at a party with his friends in Ann Arbor. And we all know that after you make a mistake, you have to apologize and just move on with life, hopefully learning a valuable lesson that will benefit you on life's journey. So thanks, Mitch. It just wasn't long enough. But I enjoyed your 2 years here at Michigan and wish you only the best, most importantly in life, but also in the NBA. Go Blue. If you were lucky, you grew up listening to Michigan football on Saturdays with your transistor tuned to the exciting play-by-play voice of Bob Ufer. When Bob passed away, many of us thought Saturdays would never be the same. But as we know, time heals all wounds. And Frank Beckman took over for Bob, doing an outstanding job for over 30 years, bringing us the excitement on Saturdays of Michigan football on the Michigan Football Network. Since 1945, Wolverine fans have known only 2 radio play-by-play voices. When Frank retired last year, we wondered who would be next. Many of us thought the new guy would come from outside of the Michigan family, so we were wrong. Last week, the university and IMG Sports announced that Jim Brandstatter would be moving from the color analyst job to take over the play-by-play. It was a bit of a surprise, but a very pleasant one. Coming up next on our Michigan Game Day segment, Jim Brandstatter shares his thoughts and talks about the shoes he will be filling this fall. Here on the Michigan Man Podcast on GBMW Go Blue, Michigan Wolverine. Joining us on our Michigan Game Day segment this week, the new radio play-by-play voice of Michigan football, Jim Brandstatter. Jim, congratulations, and thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it, and it's great to be with you.
Well, the radio voice of Michigan football, after nearly 40 years in the booth doing color, that is quite the position switch, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a new challenge. It's going to be fun. I've got a great new partner. I mean, it's a win-win all the way around for me. I really I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I've done color for a long time. It's not that I don't love it. I do. But having a little change of pace, going from, macaroni and cheese to mashed potatoes, I guess. It's just a little different, and it brings a little bit something new to me, which is kind of re-energizing me to get me back in there and do a little bit more homework and look at the game a little differently, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. Well, back in 2003, Jim, you pinch hit for Frank when he had back surgery, did the play-by-play for, I think it was the Northwestern game? It was indeed. Yeah, and then you sort of, filed that tape away. Who'd have known all of these years later, it kind of, in a way, became your audition tape for this, didn't it? That's exactly right. Normally when you're in our business, when you're in the broadcasting business, you tape everything you do, and you have samples of your work. It's just something you do from the time you begin. So when I had the opportunity to do the play-by-play, I talked to WJR at the time, and I said, look, I'd like a tape of that if you can get it, and I'll pay for it. I'll do whatever's necessary. I said, don't worry about it. They made me a CD copy. So I had it, and I just put it in my files. I hadn't seen it in 9 years. And it actually wasn't very good, so I had to go to another guy, Art Volo, who's the guy that is kind of a Michigan archivist, if you will, about Michigan football. And he had a tape of it also, and it was a much better copy because mine had kind of degraded over the years. So we got it done, and I turned it in late January to Michigan and said, if they were interested in me in that capacity, here's a sample. And in March, they said, we think you can do the job. And next thing you know, I'm changing jobs, and I'm doing play-by-play, which is fine by me. I'm really excited about it. Well, in all of these years of doing color and hosting Michigan Replay and doing the coaches shows inside Michigan football, did it ever cross your mind that you'd like to do play-by-play? Not really. I was real happy and very comfortable doing what I was doing. And it's just one of those things where life kind of gets in the way, and it came about. It really it found me. I didn't find it. I was not seeking the job to do play-by-play. As a matter of fact, throughout the season, when Frank announced that he was going to retire, my whole focus to Dave Brandon was to say, look, I want to stay on the broadcast and continue doing Michigan football in the capacity that I am now. And Dave said, no problem. You're going to be safe and solid, and we'd like you to help with the transition of whoever the new guy is. And I said, great. That sounds like a plan. And it wasn't until literally late January that they came to me and asked me if I could do play-by-play. And I, like you said, gave them a tape. And so the job really found me. I didn't go out and look for it. So I did not think way back when I was doing this that I'd ultimately become a play-by-play guy. But it's there now, and I'm going to make the best of it. Well, Jim, a lot of folks that are not in broadcasting might not realize it, but moving from color to play-by-play really changes how you prep for the games, too, doesn't it? It does. I've always said this when I've given speeches and stuff. I said the play-by-play guy answers the questions who, what, when, and where. The color guy answers the questions why and how. And those are if you ask how the job varies, the play-by-play guy has a lot more technical issues that he's got to keep straight. You got to now whether it's a run, it's a pass. Who's got the ball? Who throws the ball? Who catches the ball? What yard line they're on? Whether they got a first down or whether they didn't? How many yards they made? Time on the clock? Score of the game? all of those things are issues that you have to incorporate in a relatively smooth, seamless kind of way while broadcasting the game and being entertaining at the same time. And there is a trick to that, and it's a little bit different. And you have to have, I think, a better knowledge of the players' numbers, who they are, and things like that. Watch closer to the actual yard lines and things that they're on and down in distance. Whereas a color guy, you look for trends, you look for matchups, you look for, they're running a lot of zone, and Michigan would be attacking that zone underneath, things like that are a little bit more Y and how stuff. So there is a bit of different preparation on how you get ready for a football game.
Well, Jim, since 1945, I think it is, we've had two legendary voices in the radio.
Isn't that unbelievable?
It really is when you think about it. That's for most Michigan fans, it's hard to believe, can't remember Bob Ufer, other than what they hear, of course, on CD or tape. That covers a long period of time. And when you sit back and think about it in your lazy boy, how does it feel to follow in the footsteps of those two giants? Not that you're not a giant yourself, and well, it is amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing, and it's a great honor. I mean, it is a position of great reputation. It's a position of great history, and I appreciate that history. Ufer, I think, set the table for everybody, and then Frank, for 30 years, did an outstanding job. I mean, you couldn't have asked him to be a better follow-up to a legend. And I think that I take Frank's attitude going into it. I cannot be Bob Ufer. I can't be Frank Beckman. I got to be me. I've got to have a style, a way of doing the play-by-play that Michigan fans are going to appreciate and enjoy and be informed and enjoy listening to the games, whether it's on their transistor radio at the stadium or whether it's in their car or whether it's in their living room or family room or in their backyard, mowing the lawn. Those are the things that I want to make sure they enjoy. And part of that is the addition of Dan Deerdorf, too, because you not only have to be technically sound and draw that picture a person can see in their mind's eye, Michigan Stadium, the color of the uniforms, the direction they're going, in the stadium. They also have to be entertained. And I think that was the beauty of both Frank and Bob, to be honest with you. There's no question that, Bob entertained with the Bo Schembechler scoring horn, with his poems, with his prose, if you will, on how he broadcast the game. Frank was a little bit more straight down the line broadcaster, and yet had a tremendous ability to bring stories and background into the game, and was very entertaining. And I just want to be me, and I want to just kind of follow in their footsteps. Can't fill their shoes; they're too big, but at least kind of make my own shoes for the next few years, and hopefully the Michigan faithful will accept that.
Well, the icing on the cake for you, Jim, has to be that you get to work with your teammate, your close friend, Dan Deerdorf. That has to excite the heck out of you, doesn't it?
Oh, without question. We've known each other for 40 years. I mean, we came to school together. We were 18 and 19 years old, and became good friends throughout those first 3 years of Bo Schembechler. And we've talked and called each other. I mean, there have been times where we haven't talked in maybe a year or two because he's been busy doing professional football. And I remember I went down to his retirement game, and we've run across each other in the broadcast booth since he's been doing NFL games. And it's just, he's good to see. He's a good friend, and we both like each other, and both of us are of like mind that we love Michigan football. And he's told me, he says, I'm jealous of you that you get to do Michigan football. You get to go and tailgate at the big house and see all the guys we played with. He said, that's got to be fun for you on weekends. And I said, it's a great joy. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And he told me when this whole thing came out, he said, now I get to do those things that I've wanted to do for the last 30 years. And in addition, broadcast the games. He said, how good can that be? I said, Dan, I understand you completely, because I've been doing it now for over 30 years. And just the ability to turn and look to him, kind of know what he's going to say, or to see that twinkle in his eye when he's got, that little dig that he's going to give me, or whatever that thing is that he's going to say. Both of us love to ad lib. Both of us love to be playful if you will. And I love the idea of sitting there for 3 hours with them talking football. That's just a kick.
Are we going to still see you hosting Inside Michigan Football and continuing on as the Lions color analyst?
Yes, you will. That is the plan as we go forward. As long as they want me, I'm out there doing it.
Well, when I think of your football schedule during this season, it makes me tired just thinking about it. And I often think, how in the world does Jim have any energy left? You run from a Michigan game to wherever the Lions are playing, and some weekends Michigan's at home, and then you're on the road to where the Lions are playing. Man, that is a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it can get very hectic at times, but I've been doing it a long time, and really, if you look at it, I kind of break it down. There's really only 4 or 5 weekends a year where you're really, really crazy, and I usually kind of say, okay, if I got 4 or 5 weekends, that I can handle that. This year, though, and it's because of the NFL, I'm going to have to miss my first Lions game. They're playing in London.
Oh, that's right.
And it's the Sunday after the Michigan State game. And the problem with that is that the NFL has made the Lions game a 1:30 start in London for 9:30 a.m. start in the U.S. There's just no way, unless I can get Scotty to beam me from East Lansing to London's Wembley Stadium, that I can get there and be ready for the game at that time. So this will be my first game that I'll have to miss in the Lions schedule in 28 years.
That is amazing, but very understandable in this instance. With this schedule, Jim, you've been doing this for so long, and you just are moving in this year as the play-by-play voice of Michigan football. But do you ever think to yourself, how long do I want to keep doing this?
Yeah, there are those moments when you're sitting in your car in a parking lot at Metro Airport and you're trying to get an hour's worth of sleep before you have to get to your next plane. There are those moments where you say, is this really worth it? But when you get to the game and you do the game and you think about what a great job I have. It's that old story is, if you have a job that you love, you don't work a day the rest of your life. Well, that's the situation I've been in for the last 30 years. So while there are times when it gets difficult to travel, particularly, the good and the positive clearly outweighs the negative so often. And I just kind of say, as long as I'm healthy and as long as my health holds out and I'm not really struggling physically to get this done, and I'm still able to do the games, I'm still able to do my job, and I'm not slipping there. I want to continue to do them as long as I can do them. And there'll be a time where I say, you know what, one of the two is causing a problem, whether it's physically or the travel, whatever it might be, or I'm just not, keeping up on the games. I'll know, and I'll step aside. But for now, I feel real comfortable with it. Nobody's told me yet that I'm screwing up. So I'm gonna stay with it.
Well, I think Michigan fans are hoping it's for a long time. Jim, last question. I can't let you get away without getting your early thoughts on Team 135. Does your gut tell you we are headed for a bounce-back season?
I think so. I do. It's a tough schedule, probably very difficult. You're on the road to Michigan State. You're on the road to Ohio State, and that's tough. Two great big teams that are, Big Ten championship caliber squads that played in the Big Ten championship game last year, and you've got both of them on the road. That's a tough schedule. But I also think that Michigan's a year older. They're going to be young. I think defensively up front, from what I saw in spring, they're going to be deeper and a little bit better. The big question mark becomes their ability to run the football and protect the quarterback. That was the issue last year. Too many negative plays. And in my judgment, everybody knows that. I mean, the coaches know it, the fans know it, everybody else does. And you don't fix that in spring or anything else. The only time, it's a results business, and it's going to happen during the season. But they prove that they can run the football, and they can protect the quarterback and eliminate some of those negative plays offensively. And that's, in my judgment, the biggest job that they have in this early fall camp when they get to it in August, is to get that job done and make sure that situation is repaired. If they do that, I think they've got the skill and talent to win some games and compete for a Big Ten championship.
Well, Jim, I think I can say for all Michigan fans, we are just absolutely thrilled to know that two fine Michigan men will be bringing us all of the action this fall on the Michigan Football Network, and I can't wait to hear you and Dan together. And as Bob Ufer used to say, I have my ankles taped already. I'm ready for some football.
Ufer's not wrong. I've got my ankles taped too, and I think that Dan probably will too. I know that he's excited, and it's going to be great fun. I really can't wait till we get started.
Well, congratulations again, Jim. We look forward to getting you back on the show soon and during the season, hopefully. So until then, go Blue.
Mike, my pleasure. Talk to you later.
On my podcast Facebook page this week, I asked for fan feedback on the Mitch McGarry situation. We received calls from Chris Schaefer from Orange County, California, and Steve Brown from Birmingham, Alabama, with their thoughts. Let's hear what they had to say.
Hi, my name is Chris Schaefer. I'm calling from Orange County, California. I just wanted to answer your question about Mitch McGarry and my response to his punishment from the NCAA and his resulting departure to the NBA. I'm not disappointed in Mitch at all. I think I'm more disappointed in the NCAA's reaction, their punishment, which, like the NCAA has shown in the past, where they don't exactly fit a punishment to the crime. I almost compare Mitch McGarry's career as kind of the career of Jamal Crawford while he was at Michigan. Very talented player that came to Ann Arbor with, high expectations and left amongst, scrutiny in a career with Michigan that was way too short. I think I'll always remember, obviously, his play in the NCAA tournament last year in 2013, how good it was to see Michigan back on top and in the national championship game again.
Yeah, this is a Michigan fan in Alabama. My name is Stephen Brown. I'm actually calling to give dialogue on the Mitch McGarry situation. Do I agree with the NCAA's ruling? No, because football seems to be different. I don't know why it just is. But like Mitch said, he denied it every time except the one time he shouldn't have. That he should have, and it cost him. I want him to do well in the NBA, but I also think that Coach Beilein needs to start recruiting dominant big men to play down low, because that was one of our issues in the tournament without having a Mitch. He brought his West Virginia style to Michigan, and it was cute for the first couple of years, but now it's getting old. We need a dominant big man down low who's going to crash the board, bang the board, and we need people who are going to play their position. We don't need a small forward playing power forward. Kind of like he did Glenn Robinson III, but hopefully he'll do his thing. As far as Coach Beilein is concerned, I hope he does better in recruiting. I hope we have a good year, and I hope that players start to actually stay at Michigan for at least 3 years, because it's getting ridiculous. We're going to be like Kentucky soon, having those one and done guys, and we don't need that at an institution like Michigan. So I hope that the team does well. I hope we recruit well, and I hope that Coach Beilein gets his act together as far as recruiting, because we need different types of players than what he's bringing in. Go Blue.
Thanks again to Chris Schaefer from Orange County, California, and Stephen Brown from Birmingham, Alabama, for giving us their feedback on the Mitch McGarry situation on our fan feedback line. You too are welcome to call anytime with any of your Maize and Blue thoughts. Our number is open 24/7 for you to call and record your comments at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or you can even email the Michigan Man Podcast at yahoo.com. That's the Michigan Man Podcast at yahoo.com. Coming up next, we wrap it up for another week on Wolverine Quick Hits. You're on the Michigan Man Podcast on GBMW Go Blue, Michigan Wolverine. On Wolverine Quick Hits, Michigan hasn't wasted much time filling the space left behind by a number of departures. First, it was Muhammad Ali Abdur-Rahman. Now Michigan has added 3-star Aubrey Dawkins to the 2014 recruiting class. Dawkins was a player that Michigan got onto later in the recruiting process. He visited a couple of weeks ago and picked up an offer at that time. He followed through on a scheduled visit to Dayton recently, his other top contender, and ultimately decided for Michigan. Dawkins, the son of former NBA player Johnny Dawkins, was not very widely recruited, with offers from the likes of Portland State, Montana, UC Davis, and others making up his list. He is a bit of an under-the-radar recruit out of New Hampshire. He has good length at 6'5", and is noted to have very good athleticism, which is something Michigan will welcome after the departure of Glenn Robinson III. Dawkins also brings something that GR3 struggled with, a nice-looking, consistent outside jumper. U of M Hoops notes that he is more of an off-ball type player on offense, while having as usual a very nice scouting report on him that is worth checking out. So he could work in from the 2 to the 4 while at Michigan. While Michigan having to look to fill roster spots so late in the process is not ideal, it is comforting to know that the last time the Wolverines did this, they ended up picking up Karis LeVert and Spike Albrecht. If Rockman and Dawkins can follow in those footsteps, Michigan will be well set up next year. The Wolverines will look for at least one of these two wing recruits to step into the rotation as a backup at the 2 and 3. Number 4 ranked University of Michigan softball team used a pair of big innings to sweep a doubleheader on Saturday at Illinois, 10-2 in 6 innings in Game 1 and 6-5 in Game 2 at Eichelberger Field. Michigan plated 4 runs in the first inning of Game 2 and looked poised to pull away from the Fighting Illini. The first 3 Wolverine hitters reached, and 10 hitters in all went up to bat. Sophomore Sierra Romero smacked an opposite field single to score U of M's first run. The Fighting Illini got 2 back off of starter Haley Wagner in the first to cut the lead to 4-2. Sophomore Sierra Lawrence slugged a 2-run homer to deep center in the second to build the U of M lead back to 4 runs. But then a Michigan error let in 2 more runs in the bottom of the second to make it 6-4. Freshman Megan Betza replaced Wagner in the fourth and walked the first batter she faced to load the bases with 1 out. Montemorano then came up with a huge defensive play, snagging a hot shot down the third base line, stepping on third, and then throwing across the diamond to first to get the double play, ending the inning. So the Wolverines heading into this week's action sport a record of 39 wins against 9 losses, 17-3 in the Big Ten. They'll wrap up the home portion of the regular season this weekend versus Wisconsin. First pitch is this Friday at 6 p.m. at the Wilpon Complex. Again, the Wolverines ranked number 4 heading into this week's play. The University of Michigan baseball team held Nebraska to 4 hits on the game and put up crooked numbers in 3 separate innings in a 7-5 win on Sunday afternoon at the Wilpon Complex, home of Ray Fisher Stadium. The Wolverines pick up the win in the series finale to move back to 500 in the Big Ten this season. Nebraska scored in the top of the first on Pat Kelly's RBI groundout that plated Ryan Bolt. The Wolverines answered with 3 runs in the first. Sophomore Travis Mazes reached on an infield single. Sophomore Jacob Cronenworth bunted him to second while reaching on an error by Nebraska pitcher Aaron Boomer. Junior Jackson Glines bunted both runners over, and senior Cole Martin brought Mazes in on a sacrifice fly. Freshman Carmen Benedetti singled home Cronenworth, and freshman Jackson Lamb tripled to right, scoring Benedetti and giving Michigan a 3-1 lead. Benedetti was 3 for 4 with a ribby and 2 runs scored. Mazes added 2 hits and 2 runs. Kelly drove in 4 runs for Nebraska. Fifth-year senior Logan McAnallen earned his second win in as many appearances, striking out 3 and allowing just 1 hit with 2 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched. The Wolverines 19-24-1 overall, and again back to the 500 mark in the Big Ten. They will be back in action this weekend. For the second straight year, the Detroit Athletic Club has chosen University of Michigan men's swimmer Connor Yeager as its Michigan Male College Athlete of the Year, the organization announced Monday. Yeager will officially be given the award on Monday, May 12th at the 18th Annual DAC Athletic Awards in downtown Detroit. Yeager is the first repeat winner of the award and the 3rd male recipient from the University of Michigan, joining former swimmer Travis Tarwater in 2006 and former wrestler Kellen Russell 2012. The award started in 1996 and honors both athletic and academic achievement. In 2006, the awards were expanded to recognize outstanding college athletes with the Michigan College Athlete of the Year. So congratulations to Connor Yeager. This spring and summer, make sure you stay in the Wolverine loop by becoming a member here at GBMW. Membership will get you emails when a story is published and access to our always busy message board, where Wolverine fans share their thoughts about football and anything else maize and blue. So become a member today. Visit www.gbmwolverine.com and sign up. It only takes a minute. You can listen to the show on your laptop and desktop from the iTunes Store. Go to iTunes and you sign up for free delivery. If you listen on your tab or phone, there have never been so many ways to take the show with you. Our app is available at iTunes, the Android Store, at Amazon.com, and the Windows 8 App Store. You can also find us on the Stitcher Radio or TuneIn Radio apps, also on Spreaker Radio, all of which are free. As of this month, we're also available on YouTube. So get the show app and take us with you on all of your summer travels. I also ask that you like us on Facebook at the Michigan Man podcast page and follow us on Twitter at the Michigan Man. As I mentioned before, I'd like to make fan feedback a bigger part of the show. So thanks to Chris from California and Stephen from Alabama for contributing their thoughts this week on the Mitch McGarry situation. Like them, you can call my listener line 24/7 and record a thought on anything maize and blue. The number is 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. You can even email us at the Michigan Man Podcast at yahoo.com. So come on, Wolverine Nation, let's hear what you think. As I mentioned at the top of the show, from May through August 1st, we'll be on our summer program schedule. That means 2 shows a month. Our next show will publish on May 14th, so please make a note of that, May 14th. In August, we'll go back to weekly programming and start getting ready for football season, and it will be here before we know it. In the meantime, let's enjoy some spring and summer. That's it for this week's show. Thanks to my guest today, the new voice of Michigan football, Jim Brandstatter. We look forward to Jim's play-by-play this fall and getting him back on the show during the season. So have a great Wolverine week, everyone. Don't forget, we'll be back with our next show on May 14th. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Take care, and as always, go blue. Thanks for listening to the Michigan Man podcast on GBMW Go Blue Michigan Wolverine. You can find us on the web at www.gbmwolverine.com. That's www.gbmwolverine.com. For audio posts or other fan feedback, please call our listener line at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Email fan feedback to the Michigan Man Podcast at yahoo.com. That's the Michigan Man Podcast at yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast on GBMW Go Blue Michigan Wolverine is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan. The Michigan Man Podcast is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue.